Hey everybody, it's Greg Rice here in the bucket, Pawtucket, Rhode Island. We write a lot of blog articles. Shout out and props to Michael Mick Lafort. He's a great Italian guy. He's doing all of our blog writing. He did our franchise ops manual, and he's in the trenches when it comes to the old keyboard stroke. So we give him a lot of credit. And we also want to give credit where it's due to other companies that are out there providing valuable content to us landlords. So I want to give some love to doorloop.com. They did a great article that I want to talk about today. 9 different illegal property management practices that are happening, and I see them all the time on a daily basis that you should be avoiding. The first one, taking retaliatory actions due to a tenant complaint. Now, it's often that a tenant will say, oh, my maintenance, right? Or, oh, the neighbor, or, oh, this, or, oh, that. They're going to have issues. They're going to have complaints. And the way that you navigate those complaints is going to tell the tale on how they're going to respond to you. So, some landlords don't get that in their mind. And what they do is they try to silence the tenant with enforcement. Enforcement of some type of negative behavior. And as we see here in the blog, some examples of retaliation include raising the rent, terminating the lease, right? Kicking them out, reducing services offered, or 4, harassing or intimidating the tenant. And I will add the 5th one, which is the most disgusting one that I've seen the DOJ investigate. Sexual favors. Landlords out there looking for body cash. You better sleep with me or else. That is also out there, disgusting as it may be. So these different actions should never be engaged upon. Never. No matter how outlandish the tenant is, and trust me, I've seen some wacky tenants. I've had a gun held to me here in this office. I've seen tenants spit. Okay, they spit on Nikolai, rest in peace. They've broken our windows. They've also smashed our door. They've done all types of things. And we've never engaged in retaliatory behavior. And you need to follow that as well. Okay? Number 2 here, forcefully removing tenants without an eviction order. Now, if you watch Goodfellas, or you watch Bronx Tale, you watch Casino, you watch these old mobster movies, you see that they wrote their own laws and treated people however they wanted to. That is not something you can do in this business. I've seen it a few times, thankfully, over my decade. It's called a self-help eviction, and the most... I shouldn't be laughing, but it's pretty funny. In COVID, we had the moratorium on the evictions for a brief while, and one of landlord in Providence, rather, he took the door, the front and the back door, off the tenant's apartment because she didn't pay the rent. He took the door off her apartment in an effort to get her to move out. So I've seen that, and I've also, people have gone with weapons, all right? If you remember, sadly, a couple of years ago in Providence, it was a 3rd floor apartment. It was actually a woman. A woman tenant went up. She was demanding the tenant move out or pay, and the tenant killed her. The tenant shot through the door with a gun. Killed her. That's just one of the reasons why, right? You're risking your own physical safety on top of it being illegal. Okay. Number 3 here, avoiding or refusing maintenance. This is the oldest one in the book. A lot of times, too, the landlord just doesn't have the money. That's usually the case. But still, you can't do it. You can't say, oh, I can't afford it right now. You're going to have to live with cold water for a month. You have to provide basic and essential services to the tenants. And that one, you know, it doesn't matter, your financial situation. You got to make it happen. This one, the next one here, entering the rental property without notice. I've seen that quite a bit, especially on showings with real estate agents. They'll just knock on the door and they'll say, real estate, hey, we're here for a showing. And the tenant's like, huh? What? What's going on? Who are you? Who are all these strangers? Why does this guy got a camera? What's going on here? Okay? I've never been a fan of that, ever. And even if I was allowed in by the tenant, I wouldn't even go in. Nope, I'm all set. I'm going to stay here in the hallway. Out of respect for them. Okay, in Rhode Island, you need to give 48 hours notice. And you should give more when possible. Give a follow-up, give a reminder. But I don't like that at all. And that's common with a lot of landlords. They say, it's my house, I own it, I'm coming in when I want. No, it's not your house to do that. Okay, you're getting paid for by the tenant their use of that space. So yes, you own it, you're responsible for it, but they have the right to their privacy, their security, and their safety. So we don't want to do that. All right, making illegal deductions from the security deposit. That I really don't have much experience with because our process is so streamlined. We provide the turnover quote to the homeowner. It lists the actual cost of what it takes for any items above ordinary wear and tear, and we deduct it from the tenant's deposit, send them the check. We don't inflate things or fudge things, but private landlords definitely have that capacity. And this article mentions including fake repairs or fabricated reasons, or just jacking up the price, right? Like saying, oh, I had to get rid of a mattress, and the mattress cost the landlord $50 to get rid of, but they put, oh, it cost me $250. And they make that $200 spread, deduct it from the tenant, and you're just beefing up the amount that they owe you in order to pay them back less. Because usually landlords, they get the deposit and who knows where it goes after that. So that's something that you can't do. Increasing rent beyond legal limits. This is not something that we have in Rhode Island, thankfully, and hopefully we never have. Rent control is disgusting. It's terrible. It doesn't work. It prevents investment. It'll lead to landlords doing all of these things. Okay? I hope that it never ever comes to the ocean state. Ever. But in this case, increasing rent beyond legal limits. This is when there are rent control restrictions and the landlord will go above and beyond the ceiling amount that is allowed by law. Maybe threatens the tenant, intimidates the tenant. Hey, I'm going to kick you out. Hey, I'm not going to do your maintenance. They might push those other things on them in order to get them to cooperate with the inflated illegal rent amount. But that's not something that I see here in Rhode Island. Failing to perform required property inspections. Now, there's safety inspections that can include your fire alarm panel, your smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, fire extinguishers. Those need to be inspected as well. And then you want to get into maintenance inspections, health inspections, things like pest control, and then the move in and the move out inspections. You really, really want to be doing all of those. And we're on a schedule now with many of our property owners specifically for the fire alarms, but also coming up soon are the routine lead inspections. So we're going to be adding that to our dossier, our menu of services offered. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. This one, increasing rent in the middle of a lease period, again, I haven't seen it because we're in charge of that, and if a tenant is on an active lease agreement, we're not negotiating new rates at any point. But some landlords can do that. They could maybe take advantage of somebody who doesn't know, right, the terms and the context of a lease. Maybe somebody that doesn't speak English, somebody that's not too smart, okay, and say, oh no, I could raise it right now. I can raise it $200. You got to pay it. Oh, you don't want to pay it? I'm going to evict you. I'm not going to do your maintenance, right? We're back to square one here. So that's something that you don't want to do. And finally here, increasing property expenses. Now, this, I don't really know what exactly they're talking about here, to be honest. Property managers are expected to adhere to the terms of the rental agreement, including the agreed upon expenses and any limitations or provisions. Lease typically outlines the expenses associated with the property, and both parties are expected to fulfill their obligations. The property manager should only unilaterally increase expenses during the lease term with valid reasons. I guess this would be more so if tenants paying water, if tenants paying sewer, or maybe there's a cap on electric or gas usage. That makes sense to me. And if that's the case, and the landlord says, "Oh, you know, your water was $300 this month instead of $100," then I would just ask for justification if, you know, you're a tenant and you're watching this. But that's something that I guess landlords are doing. Seems kind of silly to me, but I guess no stone left unturned to the weak-hearted, right, and to the scandalous landlords out there that are doing all of these things. So just to recap again, folks, number 1, taking retaliatory actions due to a tenant complaint. Number 2, forcefully removing tenants without an eviction order. Number 3, avoiding or refusing maintenance. Number 4, entering the rental property without notice. 5, making illegal deductions from the deposit. 6, increasing rent beyond legal limits. 7, failing to perform required inspections. 8, increasing the rent in the middle of a lease period. And number 9, increasing property expenses. So any questions, any feedback, let me know. Once again, Greg Rice here in the bucket, your property and your other company's blog articles managed.